Part 114. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1132. By the side of Klong Lake. The strong men of all races began to wail at this moment. No. We are here to find opportunities for Kunpeng, not to be used as fuel. Let us leave. Many people were shouting and terrified. You deceived us. King Tiandiao looked at Xuanhuan, the Water Emperor's waiter on the bow, his body trembling, and said, "From the beginning, you had no intention of letting us join the imperial court. Why? Waterway imperial court, treacherous." The Dragon King and the Kun Crocodile King also cried out in grief and anger. They are betrayers, but now they feel unwilling and angry at being betrayed. As I said, you are just consumables and fuel. Xuanhuan smiled and said, "When the giant dragon crushes the ant, will it care whether the ant disobeys or obeys the dragon?" Hearing this, King Jinpeng gritted his teeth. His heart almost exploded. He had betrayed his own flesh and blood compatriots, but he got such a result. Cheating me, you actually lied to me. I'll fight with you. He rushed towards the giant ship. However, Xuanhuan just waved his hand, and suddenly, the formation flags covering the major ancient tribes burst out with more terrifying power. In the causal furnace, it seemed that there was some kind of causal flame that was swallowing, and it was about to destroy everyone. The entire area was covered in causal flames. They are all ancient tribes who have been protected by Kunpeng. Now they have all been turned into fuel and will help the cause and effect furnace to find the cause and effect related to Kunpeng. At this moment, the cause and effect in this area is boiling, and it is completely undetectable. Only a huge ship stayed away from the incident. The fire of cause and effect is burning brightly. If Kunpeng's bloodline really awakens in this life, he will definitely be found. He whispered, and at the same time, he couldn't help but look into the distance. Kunpeng's bloodline is already established, but the black firewood that the emperor mentioned. He thought. Hi seems to be nowhere to be found. Although Shuigiwen and others are the ancestors, because the ancestors came from the darkness, the burning of Shuigiwen and others in the ocean of cause and effect may attract the attention of darkness. But it's just a vague possibility. I hope God bless the Water Emperor. He whispered. Now. The fire of cause and effect has no form or quality. You can't feel any heat or temperature, and you can't even see the existence of this flame. However, at this moment, all the covered creatures felt the fundamental panic. It's like every bit of time he has experienced is being burned by some kind of flame. My own past and memories seem to have been half burned. This burning triggered the collapse of their existence. Why do living beings exist? The lowest level of cause and effect is directly burned. Only those causes and effects related to Kunpeng will be selected and turned into fuel to form the fire of cause and effect. This is a forbidden technique. Even if the emperor uses it, it will easily suffer backlash and challenge the law of cause and effect of life. A large number of lives evaporated, and as the cause and effect of their existence in this world was burned away, they walked quietly as if they had never been to this world. Ah, no. It hurts me to death, it hurts me to death. At this moment, the Sky Eagle King also screamed miserably. He felt that his soul was about to burst. At this moment, some little bits of light were extracted from the cause and effect of his life. That's a picture about Kunpeng. In the age of raising fire, the ancestors created the world, and Kunpeng protected the land. The ancestors of their Tiandiao clan once paid homage to Kunpeng and were protected by it. No. I don't want to die. The Kun Crocodile King was rolling all over the place. He felt like every inch of flesh and bone had been subjected to thousands of tortures, and his mind was in confusion. At this moment, he clearly saw that during the fire era, there was a terrifying lava spewing out of the earth, and their clan was almost completely wiped out. It was Kunpeng who flapped his wings and protected their clan. Retribution, this is retribution, ha ha ha, we betrayed the Kunpeng remnants and betrayed the Kunpeng totem. Now all the karma related to Kunpeng will pass away, ha ha ha. The Dragon King smiled miserably. They were called dragons, but in history, they were just a kind of water bug. Thanks to Kunpeng's kindness, they evolved into dragons. All the cause and effect are paying off. Moreover, those creatures without Kunpeng's cause and effect will disappear silently after the cause and effect of their own existence collapses, so they will not be so painful. But they need to feel that the cause and effect related to Kunpeng is being extracted bit by bit, and clearly feel the burning process of the fire of cause and effect. This can be called the death penalty on earth. At this moment, Kunpeng's remnants and others were also filled with grief and fear. We're hummed. It turns out that we are the remnants of Kunpeng and have been used by the Water Emperor. I have forgotten my identity, and I have known a thief as my father for so many years. When I wake up, am I going to die? I am not willing to accept it. Many people are desperate and crying. The fire also capsized towards them. At this moment, a man in black suddenly appeared next to Tuguyuking. It was Kunpeng. He stood with his hands behind his hands, looking indifferently at the fire of cause and effect between heaven and earth, and waved his hand calmly. Suddenly, the causal flames that had fallen towards Kunpeng's survivors suddenly disappeared. The water returns to its source and so on, unscathed. No. What's going on? Why are they okay? King Jinpeng was shocked when he saw this. This furnace of cause and effect was originally set up for these ancestors and remnants, and they were just adding to the list. But now, the fire of cause and effect can't touch these ancestors. Not only that, even the Dapen King and the Camel Turtle King were safe and sound at this moment. Those causal flames, as if they had eyes, did not burn them. Why, don't we have any connection with Kunpeng? King Dapen murmured. This is a bit insulting to the turtle. My ancestor, the turtle, has personally visited Kunpeng. Why don't I have karma? Gui Manman opened his mouth angrily. Hearing this, the Sky Eagle King and others next to them wanted to vomit blood. Because they have some Kunpeng karma, they are now dying and suffering great pain. As a result, this old turtle still feels aggrieved because he does not have Kunpeng karma. It's impossible, even if there is no Kunpeng karma, their own karma will be burned. Why? The Kun Crocodile King roared angrily. This makes no sense at all. If there really was no Kunpeng karma, it would have been burned away and disappeared silently like other ordinary creatures. That's girl Qingling. At this moment, among the Kunpeng survivors, someone suddenly saw Shui Qingling. Immediately, they all looked towards Shui Qingling. Girl Qingling, you're not dead. No, haven't you noticed that the flames of karma in the world seem to be gathering towards Qingling girl? She is the leader of this karma. Yes, the person we are looking for in this cause and effect is Qingling girl, so she dominates the cause and effect here. The remaining people of Kunpeng were all ecstatic. This is the only possibility. Girl, you're okay, just be okay. Shui Giwen was even more excited. He led his tribe members and walked over, saying, "What happened along the way? What's going on?" Shui Qingling wanted to explain, but Kunpeng's thought had already entered her heart. She immediately said, "Qingling had some adventures when she went out this time, and awakened the Kunpeng bloodline." She didn't say much. Hearing this, Shui Giwen and others were all pleasantly surprised. Okay, great. Kunpeng's bloodline has awakened. Our clan finally has some hope. Thanks to Qingling girl this time, otherwise we would really be dead. They all spoke. That's it, that's it. On the other side, Peng Tianzhong also suddenly realized. I just said, this turtle has a good life, how could he die like this? Gui slowly opened his mouth, and in a flash, he was directly beside Shui Qingling. King Daipen also walked over and saluted. That's it, King Daipen and his friends are fine, just because they have received the protection of Kunpeng's bloodline. The Sky Eagle King and others were almost completely dead. Seeing this scene, it was like seeing a life-saving straw. This girl, save us. Brother Daipen, Brother Manman, help us, we are all good friends. For the sake of our past friendship, please give us a hand. The Dragon King and the Kun Crocodile King both shouted loudly. Even King Jinpeng, at this moment, showed a kind of reluctance in his proud eyes, but he still gritted his teeth and said to King Daipen, "Brother, let her save me." King Daipen looked at King Jinpeng, with a trace of unbearability in his eyes, but Gui slowly said, "It doesn't matter if you don't want this kind of brother, just kill him." As he spoke, he saluted Shui Qingling and said, "Miss Qingling, these traitors should be punished for forgetting Kunpeng's great kindness and betraying Kunpeng's remnants." When Shui Qingling heard this, there was a hint of hatred in her eyes. She would certainly not be lenient towards such a traitor. Beside her, Kunpeng waved his hand calmly. In an instant, the ocean of cause and effect boiled even more. "Ah! Spare my life. We were all ancient tribes protected by Kunpeng. How can you not miss our old friendship so much?" The Sky Eagle King and others all let out shrill screams and were completely destroyed. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Gui Xin. Chapter 1133. The one who received the goods. A black aura enveloped the sky above a large river. On a black ancient road, Mo Zhan was a tall man. He looked at Ao Wushuan with some confusion. He came here looking for the aura of darkness, and that aura of darkness should belong to the Dark Ancestor. But I didn't expect it to be such a middle-aged man. However, although the other party had a feeling that he couldn't see through, his strength seemed to be very weak. It shouldn't be the Dark Ancestor himself. Then, he should be the messenger of the Dark Ancestor? As for Ao Wushuan, looking at the man in front of him, his thoughts were racing and he was panicking. He felt that the strength of the other party was stronger than the darkness he had encountered before. The strongest thing he had seen before was just a streak of black smoke and some rot slaves. However, the black smoke brought out at most a black path, but with a casual kick of the man in front of him, it was a black avenue to the sky. He immediately bit the bullet and said, "Yes, receiving the goods." "Are you delivering the goods?" "Agree casually first and then talk." However, War Emperor Mo Zhan narrowed his eyes slightly and said, "Do you have a token?" Ao Wushuan was a little confused. The token, where did he have any damn token? But, at this moment, he felt something in his hand. When he picked it up, he saw that it was the black copper coin. When he saw the copper coin, the War Emperor's pupils suddenly shrank, a look of horror reflected in his eyes. He subconsciously took a step back, and actually saluted directly. "See Supreme. There is no intention of conflict in the silent war. Please forgive me, Supreme." He was not saluting Ao Wushuan, but saluting the copper coins in Ao Wu's hands. It was extremely respectful. Ao Wushuan was a little stunned when he saw this scene. Damn it, sure enough, nothing in this small mountain village is ordinary. They are all very evil. How dare you even bow down to such a powerful darkness? He was becoming more and more afraid of that small mountain village. "It's okay, get up." Ao Wushuan spoke. Mo Zhan then stood up and looked at Ao Wushuan, but there was a trace of complicated jealousy in his eyes. This guy is so weak, he can actually get the supreme token. This is an incredible opportunity. I came here this time to give you this gift. Mo Zhan pointed to the coffin on his back and said. However, Silent Zhan has other things to attend to. Can the envoy go with me first? After the things here are settled, we can go together to pay homage to Wushang. When he came this time, sending black firewood was just one of the things he did. The most important thing is to complete the mission of his master, the Silent One. The Tao of Silence is also known as the Silent Tao among many supreme avenues. Throughout the ages, no one has proven it. It is the key to restraining the ignorance of the great masters. The ignorance of the great master Tao means that he knows everything. Only by speaking silently can he be suppressed. But the silent way is extremely difficult to prove. You need to satisfy your ultimate desires first, and then at the peak of your ability, you can glimpse the true meaning of the silent way. When does a warmonger become silent? Fight until you are invincible. When does a womanizer become silent? When X is the beauty in the world. When does a seeker become silent? When you read all the knowledge in the world. Only when you have experienced the most extreme peak can you understand the true meaning of silence. The 9 of them are the embodiment of the Silent One's 9 flaws. As for Emojan, as a generation of war emperors, only by defeating the world and catching a glimpse of the true meaning of Emojan's Tao at the pinnacle can he realize what Emoja said, a warlike person knows how to be silent and peaceful. The first step is completed. He was originally a war emperor under the dark sky, cultivating the way of war, but as a result, he was suppressed by the Silent One for countless years, and he is only able to fight today. So at this moment, the blood of the battle has already boiled. Huh? Do you still have to go back? Ao Wushuan's face looked a little ugly. He finally escaped, but now his trip was in vain. What? Isn't the messenger unwilling? Emojan asked. Ao Wushuan said. No, no, no. I'm very happy, since you want to go, I'll go with you. Do my best. At this moment, in front of Trap Dragon Lake. The cause and effect furnace boils the ocean of cause and effect, and the area in front of you is no longer accessible to prying eyes. Cause and effect are boiling. I vaguely seem to see the terrifying shadow of Kunpeng. Xuanhuan whispered, looking a little excited, and said. Has the sacrifice to heaven been successful? Have you really found Kunpeng's bloodline? He felt, it should be stable. Now, there is a shortage of so-called black firewood. Where can I find this thing? However, just as he had this idea, suddenly, in the vast sky, there was a terrifying pressure. He suddenly raised his eyes and saw a black avenue extending from the sky. On that avenue, a man carrying a coffin walked slowly. Every step seemed to crush the sky. No. This, existence in the darkness. Shui Kuangwen's expression changed drastically, and he subconsciously wanted to run away. After countless years, all the creatures in the forbidden world have long had a deep-rooted fear of darkness. However, just as he subconsciously took a step back, he immediately gritted his teeth and held on. Even though his face was pale, he still whispered. Darkness appears, this is what the Water Emperor wants. Hei-chai, Hei-chai. He murmured, struggling to look towards the dark road, but found that he couldn't even lift his head. Emperor. The great emperor in the dark. He became even more frightened. The sweat on the tip of his nose continued to fall. He gritted his teeth and used a treasure given by the Water Emperor. With the blessing of the Water Emperor's thing, he finally, barely saw it. And on that terrifying dark avenue, the man carrying the coffin looked at the ocean of cause and effect, and a strange color flashed in his eyes. He intuitively felt that, there was a powerful person in this ocean of cause and effect. Are you the most powerful person who has practiced the Kunpeng method? He spoke. The strongest person he is looking for is not just the person at the top of the entire cultivation sequence, but the strongest person in every realm. He wants to fight. Feeling Shui Kuangwen's gaze on the boat, he glanced sideways and said coldly. You are so weak, how dare you look at me? His figure suddenly appeared directly in front of Shui Kuangwen. Then, Punch out? No. Xuanhuan was shocked. He tried his best to stop him, but was knocked away by a punch. Even the other water path emperors on the imperial ship were frightened at this moment. They all felt that there was clearly a punch coming towards them. Some of them were directly blasted into powder, and some flew upside down. Out. Xuanhuan fell 1,000 meters away, and he felt that his soul and body were shattered by this punch. However, at this moment, he raised his eyes in a daze and said, "No. No. You are not the emperor." He felt that although the opponent's punch was extremely terrifying, it was only in the same realm as himself. "It's a punch from the earthquake realm." The man carrying the coffin said coldly. "I am the War Emperor, why should I bully you and other ants with my realm? It is my destiny to destroy all enemies in the world with one punch." He stood in the air, carrying a black coffin on his back, like an invincible god of war. War Emperor. Xuanhuan, on the other hand, muttered something and then fell into pieces and died on the spot. At the same time, other powerful men from the Water Path Imperial Court also died. What they felt was a punch that was in the same realm as their own, however, no one could catch it, and no one could survive. One punch, kill them all. At this moment, Xuanhuan followed suit and finally appeared here. Seeing the terrifying strength of the War Emperor, he couldn't help but feel numb. At this moment, in the area covered by the ocean of cause and effect, the fire of cause and effect finally stopped. Haha, no matter who he is or what state he is in, he will die. The War Emperor raised his hand and swallowed the wasteland with anger. Even though the people in that area had not really walked out, he had already killed them with one punch. This punch, just like the previous one, was a punch he had evolved with the War Emperor's technique, but the person enveloped by this punch felt a punch of the same realm as himself. The fist shook the world, the energy suppressed the cause and effect, and the fighting spirit boiled like the sea. The War Emperor did not show the combat power of a great emperor, but he was incomparable in style and displayed his imperial posture. So strong, I'm really invincible." Xuanhuan couldn't help but sigh. He just finished speaking. But in the ocean of cause and effect, which was about to subside, there was suddenly a sword intent, going against the trend. Good night. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1134. When the fire of cause and effect was almost completely extinguished, the War Emperor's punch turned into countless lights and shadows, covering the area. Just like the punch just now, every creature in the rain will feel the punch from the same realm. If you can't pick it up, it will lead to death. However, at this moment, in that area, there was suddenly a sword intent, going against the trend and slashing out. The sword intention was as gorgeous as the stars in the sky, as bright as the rainbow shining in the heavens. With one strike of the sword, it actually broke through the supreme fist intention of the War Emperor. What? The War Emperor was taken aback, and his pupils shrank. From the beginning, he had felt that there should be a powerful person hidden in this ocean of cause and effect, but he didn't expect him to be so strong. This sword is a sword in the realm of 11 soil, but it is a sword that is boundless, surpassing the extreme of that realm. Very good. He shouted loudly, with fighting intent in his eyes. Then, he suddenly turned his head, looked at Xuanhuan, and said, "I will return to my old self. To be safe, you should look at this coffin first." After saying that, he threw the coffin on his back directly towards Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan was about to run away, but when he saw this, he was immediately confused. Moreover, when the coffin fell, the lid of the coffin actually opened, and Xuanhuan was completely put into the coffin. I'm sorry. Xuanhuan only had time to utter a curse word before the coffin was completely closed. Then, Amo Jean looked forward. Taking a step forward, his whole body, mind, and soul seemed to have traveled through time and space, and his realm was actually decreasing at an extremely rapid rate. His power as an emperor was completely gone. The invincible emperor seemed to have returned to his youth. This is a retrospection forbidden technique that allows him to return to a certain stage in his past. Now, he has returned to the realm of Zirang and traced back to his old body. The silent war at this moment is no longer the silent war of the great emperor, but the young genius who was still alive. Very good, your sword should be the strongest sword in the Zilang realm among all the cultivators in this world. I will look back to Zilang's body and fight to kill you. Amo Jean spoke indifferently. Using the retrospection forbidden technique, he can return to the realm of rest, making his foundation more solid, which will be of great benefit to him in the future when he attacks the Emperor of Heaven and even the Supreme Being. Fight against heaven and earth. He evolved endless boxing skills, and countless dark phenomena appeared behind him, with overwhelming momentum. The Tao Jing land he had when he was in the 11 land realm has also manifested. It is a dark land, and at a glance, it is millions of miles away and boundless. Those who can construct the 10,000 miles of earth in the realm of 11 soil are already considered to be peerless geniuses. However, the land of support and life that Silent War has built in this realm is millions of miles long. This is incredible. The sword intent that countered the trend finally dissipated. Is this all you have? Amo Jean spoke coldly, staring ahead. At this moment, the causal ocean caused by the causal furnace in front finally disappeared completely, and in it, a young man vaguely walked out. It's great if you can take my sword. Then, let's strike again. The young man spoke calmly, then he raised his hand calmly and slowly crossed it through the air. He used his hand as a pen as if he were writing. With his slow gestures, his Dao scenery also kicked off. A corner of the terrifying Dao scenery appeared, and he saw that the land was also millions of miles wide. Seeing this, Amo Jean became a little solemn, which meant that the opponent's qualifications were no worse than his own, or even, better. After all, a corner of a scenic spot is already millions of miles away. Could it be that his Taoist scenery reaches tens of millions of miles? In the realm of living soil, the broader the soil of life that can be constructed, the more terrifying the strength. So what if it's thousands of miles away, just in time, I can lend you your hand to perfect my old body. Amo Jean smiled. As a war emperor, he had a fierce fighting spirit and a surging aura. He showed the dark method and rose against the sky. The dark beast is roaring, and the shadows of the dark stars are flickering. The silent battle is like an ancient beast coming from the darkness. The battle method is transformed into thousands of magical powers to suppress Duguyuking's sword. Duguyuking raised his hand, his sword intent was like a waterfall from the sky. Boom! A sword attack. His gestures quickened, and finally, a word was written. That is the word. The Taoist scenery behind him also expanded rapidly, and the whole picture was revealed. I saw that his Taoist scenery was so vast and boundless that it was impossible to measure it. No, this is not thousands of miles, this is infinity. Amo Jean said in shock, Wu Yuan is the legendary realm of 11 soil realm. The soil of life constructed is immeasurable and boundless. This kind of person is called the Supreme Figure. The legendary boundless realm can evolve in the realm of living soil, and in the end, it is very likely to become supreme. Even under the dome of darkness, such people can be counted on one hand. Their master, the Silent One, is this kind of existence. At this moment, Amo Jean's mentality was a little suspicious. How could this world be so strong? And the sword intent brought out by that sword fell suddenly, like a waterfall impact. directly drowned Silent War. At this moment, Silent War disappeared directly. Duguyuking, on the other hand, frowned slightly. Could it be that the other party is dead? However, at this moment, Silent Jean suddenly emerged from the space just now. You actually killed my old body when I was in the realm of rest. Mo Jean stared at Duguyuking with anger and even humiliation in his eyes. Known as the War Emperor, he has unparalleled combat power. He used the method of retrospection to return to his old body. The original purpose was to use Duguyuking to perfect his old body and consolidate the foundation of his fighting way. However, Zirang's old body was actually killed by a sword. This is unacceptable. This means that instead of being perfected, the foundation of his fighting spirit will have cracks. Moreover, a body was killed when he was in the Zilang realm, so part of his karma was missing. If he didn't repair it quickly, big problems would occur. At this moment, what he appears is his old body in the Forbidden Realm. He had to quickly use this body to cultivate the body of breathing soil. Do you dare to fight in the Forbidden Realm? Mo Jean stared at Duguyuking. However, before Duguyuking could speak, behind Duguyuking, an unparalleled swaying wind had already risen against the sky. Soaring into the sky, 90,000 miles straight. In that swing, there was clearly a terrifying vision, as if a giant kun was flying, and a giant rock was soaring. Naokeo, kill you. Kunpeng only said this, and the strong wind suppressed it. Kunpeng actually appeared in this world. Mo Jean spoke in shock, and then struggled to show his own Fueyo vision. But, it is completely incomparable to Kunpeng's. Boom. What the hell? Silent War uttered a curse word, but the words were not finished yet. The power of the 10,000 weight Kunpeng fell, and Silent Jean disappeared once again. Directly, kill instantly with one move. Next, is it time for the other party to show up as a water-bending body? Kunpeng looked forward to it and said. The opponent's fighting strength is actually quite good. If he appears as a water-bending body and is a level higher than mine, I think I can give him a good fight. Kunpeng was also in the Xiang realm, and he had just lowered his cultivation level to kill the Nejin body of the War Emperor with the strength of the Nejin realm. Behind them, the remnants of Kunpeng, King Dapen, Gui Manman, etc. were extremely shocked when they saw the two of them actually killing the former body of the War Emperor. When they heard this, they felt even more complicated. That is the most powerful person who comes from the darkness. As a result, he was actually killed by these two people. Moreover, Kunpeng even bluntly said that he needed the opponent to be at a higher level before he could fight painfully. Who is the War Emperor? However, Kunpeng and Duguyuking waited for a long time, but the War Emperor did not appear again. Two past bodies were destroyed in succession. There may be some problems with the cause and effect of his own existence, so he won't be able to appear for a while. Duguyuking whispered and guessed. Ancestor, what should we do now? Attack the Waterway Imperial Court. King Dapen and Gui waited slowly, and now they were looking at Kunpeng respectfully and excitedly. Now, they have understood, it turns out that the one who protects them is not Shui Qingling. But Kunpeng actually reappeared. Kunpeng said. No need. You leave first. Shui Giwan and other remnants, King Dapen, King Camel Turtle, etc., stayed and had little effect. It is enough to have water and clear spirit. Hearing this, Shui Giwan, King Dapen and others all left reluctantly. It's not easy to cross this trapped dragon lake. Duguyuking looked at the vast misty dragon lake and spoke. There are too many spiritual mists and imperial energy contained in it. If you break in forcefully, the water path imperial court will directly sense it. But now, their most important thing is to sneak in and find Longzixuan first. But, at this moment, suddenly on the other side, Xuanhuan's body was enveloped by a ray of light. The water rippled, and mysterious power came. Xuanhuan, who was already dead, suddenly opened his eyes. To explain, some readers mentioned that during the Forbidden Ancient Road, a black smoke could fight back and forth with 10,000 Dao endpoints, but now only the Great Emperor appears, feeling that his combat power has collapsed. In fact, there is no such thing. During the Forbidden Ancient Road, Yongzi could instantly kill the black smoke, but killing it tens of millions of times could not completely eliminate the black smoke. Only by using the source of the white mist could the black smoke be turned into gray mist. Only then can it be completely removed. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Gui Xin. Chapter 1135. A dark place of unknown location. Terrifying chess lines cover all directions, and every chess piece falls like avenues crisscrossing the area. The Silent One and the being on the dark throne were playing chess. Hai has been sent out, and Mo Zhan is about to start his journey of war. The Silent One spoke slowly and said, "When militants stop being militant and choose silence, silence will be the first step." As he spoke, he looked at the being on the dark throne and said, "There are many supreme ways in this world. I wonder what you practiced back then." The being on the dark throne smiled lightly and said, "You guess." Saying that, he continued to make moves. Forbidden World, Yuzhu. By the side of Klong Lake. I didn't die completely, fortunately, the Water Emperor gave me the treasure to save my life. Xuanhuan got up from the ground. He felt the severe pain coming from his body, but he was still very happy. It's too scary. A generation of dark emperors has appeared. Is this going to destroy the world? I have to go back and tell the Water Emperor. He stood up with difficulty as he spoke, but when he raised his eyes, he felt a little confused for a moment. What's going on? Where is the Dark Emperor? Where did it go? Moreover, the ocean of cause and effect has also calmed down. Where is the Kunpeng species? Now, there are only two people left in the field. The water is clear, and the lonely jade is clear. Duguyuking carried the black coffin calmly, and at the same time, she also carried an earthen pot. Shui Qingling. He looked at Shui Qingling in shock, his eyes filled with surprise. He sensed that Shui Qingling's body had an extremely strong Kunpeng aura. Could it be that the Kunpeng bloodline found in the heaven sacrifice ceremony is you? You actually awakened Kunpeng's blood. He spoke in surprise. He never expected. However, in a flash, he felt, all of this was actually normal. After all, Shui Qingling is a remnant of Kunpeng. Although his bloodline is extremely thin, it is still far superior to many ancient tribes in the outside world who have been protected by Kunpeng. Master Waiter, what happened? I suddenly appeared here, only to find that my people were all dead. Shui Qingling looked confused and sad. Hearing this, Shui Quangguan's heart moved slightly. Shui Qingling seemed to be unaware. Where have you been? How did the Kunpeng bloodline awaken? He asked. Shui Qingling said. According to the arrangement of the imperial court, I found the holy source of Thunder Dao ancestor in the pure land of Thunder Dao, and took some. However, I fainted. When I woke up, I was already here. I had no idea what had happened. What? She spoke blankly. Hearing this, Shui Quangguan suddenly understood something. It turned out that the reason why Shui Qingling was inspired to have Kunpeng's bloodline was because he obtained the ancestral holy source of Lei Dao. This makes sense. After all, the ancestral saint source is a rare thing in the world. Even in the Waterway Imperial Court, it is a heritage. Being able to stimulate the power of blood, normal. He wasn't completely convinced in his heart, but that didn't matter now. The important thing is that Shui Qingling must be the one who has awakened the Kunpeng bloodline. This is the person that the Waterway Imperial Court is looking for. Bring it back quickly, that's the most important thing. Who are you? At the same time, he looked at Duguyuking again. When he saw the black coffin on Duguyuking's back, he was even more shocked and said, "Why, how did this thing appear on your back? Just now, wasn't this coffin carried by the Dark Emperor? What about the Dark Emperor?" Duguyuking was also a little confused and said, "I don't know, I was originally a wild cultivator from a mountain village, and I was fishing. But I ended up here inexplicably. A middle-aged man handed this coffin to me, he said that I was some kind of dark seed and asked me to carry this coffin. Waiting for the right person, and then he leaves." Hearing this, Xuanhuan was even more overjoyed. The Dark Emperor actually left this coffin behind? Could it be that in this coffin, is the black firewood that Emperor Shui has longed for? Probably. He walked over quickly and wanted to check it out, but he found that just as he got closer, he felt a sense of palpitations and fear in his heart. It was as if there was something dark and terrifying hidden in this coffin. No wonder the Dark Emperor wants to find a seed of darkness. It would be difficult for an ordinary cultivator to even get close to this coffin, let alone carry it on his back. He understood instantly and felt that everything made sense. As for why the Dark Emperor appeared and why he left this coffin, he didn't care. After all, only the Water Emperor had the resources to understand when it came to the level of darkness and black firewood. All he has to do is bring these back. I will come when you are old and I will take you to the Waterway Emperor's court. Don't worry, from now on, you will all be protected by the Waterway Emperor's court, and you will rise to great heights." He laughed. He immediately contacted the Waterway Emperor's court and asked the Waterway Emperor's court to send a boat to pick him up. After all, without being greeted by the Waterway Emperor's court, even if he is the Water Emperor's attendant, he cannot cross Klong Lake and reach the Waterway Pure Land. At this moment, the Waterway Imperial Court. A huge island in the sky, in the palace. There was a steaming hot air in the hot spring pool, and a beautiful woman was shrouded in the hot air, with her slender and charming waist looming. "I found it, Kunpengzhong, Dark Chai." The Water Emperor's voice was so comfortable as he said, "The prophecies of the god of jumping have all come true, the black firewood burns the sky and the rivers are gone, the Kunpeng flaps its wings and the water is empty, ha ha." While she was talking, another charming woman cuddled up against her, put her hand on a place where she couldn't look without spending money, and giggled. "Sister, are you still free now?" The Water Emperor grabbed her hand, showed an expression that might be banned, and said, "Enriched." The Water Emperor looked at her and said, "The future is uncertain. According to the prophecy of Master Tiao, even if I survive, I am afraid that the Waterway Imperial Court will encounter unimaginable disaster. Go away, leave, as far away as possible." Hearing this, the charming woman was about to cry and said, "You, sister, I can't bear to leave you, how can Xiaoqing live without you?" Water Emperor said, "Go find a man." The charming woman shook her head firmly and said, "If there is no elder sister, Xiaoqing is willing to become a monk." The Water Emperor hugged her. A huge white snake and a green snake were rolling in the hot spring pool, and the water was surging. Xuanhuan was full of anticipation and finally waited for the big ship from the Waterway Imperial Court. "Get aboard." He immediately boarded the boat with Duguyuking and Shui Qingling and headed towards the Waterway Imperial Court. Now, in total darkness. "It's so dark." Ao Wushuan spoke fearfully, touched his side as if there was a rough piece of firewood, and said, "What is this?" However, after he touched it a few times, the rough wood disappeared. Entered his Tao scenery. Ao Wushuan was stunned for a moment, and then hurriedly entered his own Taoist scenery. I saw a black firewood actually appearing between the 5 huge statues in the Taoist landscape. What's this? He asked. But the dancing master smiled mysteriously and said, It's delicious, want to try it? Xuanhuan shook his head and said, This is the stuff in the coffin, maybe it's some corpse, I won't eat it. The dancing master leisurely said, Eat 1 bite and your cultivation level will improve. Eat 2 bites and your lifespan will increase by 100,000 years. Before he finished speaking, Xuanhuan had already arrived in front of the black firewood, hugged the black firewood and began to chew it. I'm not interested in cultivation or longevity. The main reason is that I was born to like to eat this kind of firewood. Thunder Emperor. He felt evil. This Xuanhuan was getting more and more evil. What kind of existence did I encounter? At the same time, outside Klong Lake, black mist emerged, and the light of cause and effect flashed. A middle-aged man suddenly appeared. War Emperor, fight silently. How is this possible? My 2 old bodies that went back to the Najin and Zilang realms were actually killed. He clenched his fists. If a person's cultivation is a building, then the cultivation of the realm of Najing and Zirang is the base. The 2 old bodies were chopped off, which made his building a little unstable. Therefore, he hurriedly escaped into the causal world, found a lower-level old body, and then quickly retrained as a cashier. Cultivation in the forbidden and resting realms. Only then did he stabilize his emperor fruit. I am the War Emperor, who can defeat me? I don't accept it, I want to achieve the supreme status. He raised his eyes and stared at Klong Lake in front of him, and then the figure disappeared directly. Good night. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Gui Xin. Chapter 1136. The big ship sailed slowly, crossing the vast misty river surface and entering the pure land of the waterway. What you see are islands one after another. The entire pure waterway is like a vast ocean. There are many small islands in the ocean, which are very beautiful. The spiritual energy is extremely rich, and various rare water animals appear from time to time. In the sky, there are huge islands in the sky, and there are heavenly palaces on the islands. The island in the sky in the center looks even more brilliant, with countless waterfalls flowing down from the island into the ocean. That seems to be the source of the waterway imperial court. The big ship arrived here, and suddenly there was a crystal-like light falling on the huge island in the sky in the center. It was imperial light, forming a bridge. Xuanhuan stepped forward and said, You two, please come with me. Zhuge Yuqing and Shui Qingling immediately followed him. As soon as he stepped onto the bridge, the surrounding space suddenly changed, and the next moment, he appeared on the island in the sky. In the center of the island, there is a lake. In the lake, there are all kinds of magical things growing, including magical medicines that emit colorful light, old turtles that have lived for an unknown number of years, and even some alien species that look like real dragons. In the center of the lake is a huge palace. At this moment, not only Xuanhuan, Zhuge Yuqing, Shui Qingling, and others, but also other figures kept appearing on the island. Miss Shui Hongxiao, the iceberg beauty, the most powerful saint. The holy son of Shujiang, he is known as the strongest person in the Pure Land in the waterproofing realm. As these people appeared, Shui Qingling whispered, and she deliberately said it to introduce the origins of these people to Zhuge Yuqing. In addition, some extremely powerful elders also appeared. Haha, Sister Qingling, I heard that you went to perform the mission of the imperial court. Now that you are back, it seems that you have gained a lot. A girl in a green dress came over. She looked at Shui Qingling with an indifferent expression and a natural sense of superiority on her face. She is the strongest saint, Shui Hongxiao. Just now, as soon as she appeared, she had already felt Shui Qingling's aura, which was extraordinary. Have you practiced the Kunpeng technique? At this time, another young man also came over. It was Shenzi Shui Jianghe. His eyes were cold and he said, "If I remember correctly, you are not qualified to practice the Kunpeng method. Do you know what crime you should be punished for secretly learning this method? He is the strongest among the sons of God, Shui Jianghe. Shui Jianghe and Shui Hongxiao are the most promising people to succeed the Water Emperor, and they are extremely talented. The more so, the more sensitive they are to their status." Shui Qingling said, "What am I practicing? It's not my turn to be the one to tell you." Shui Jianghe frowned, looked at Shui Xuanhuan, and said, "Master waiter, this." However, Shui Xuanhuan just said indifferently, "Shui Qingling is the Kunpeng species that the imperial court is looking for. She has awakened the Kunpeng bloodline." Upon hearing this, Shui Hongxiao and Shui Jianghe's expressions changed drastically. Kunpeng bloodline awakener. Their faces were a little ugly, and at the same time, there was a deep fear in their eyes. At this moment, they all regarded Shui Qingling as their biggest opponent. "Come in." At this time, suddenly a faint voice sounded in the imperial palace ahead. Suddenly, the spiritual energy on this lake turned into a bridge, leading directly to the imperial palace. Immediately, many saints, and geniuses of the older generation headed towards the imperial palace. Entering the imperial palace, what hits your face is a faint fragrance. In the imperial palace, there is a hot spring filled with mist. Behind the hot spring, there is a supreme ice jade throne. On the throne, a noble empress who could not be looked at directly looked down at the many saints with indifference. She is wearing a white divine silk skirt, and her snow-white thighs are looming, stacked together, giving people endless reverie. Her waist is full, and she has that admirable peak. What a beauty! Shui Qingling, right? The empress spoke lightly. At this moment, Shui Qingling suddenly felt that she was being watched. She subconsciously raised her eyes, as if there was some mysterious power that was trying to enter her heart through her pupils. The Water Emperor is observing her heart. "How did you awaken Kunpeng's bloodline? I'm really curious." The Water Emperor's voice echoed in her heart. "I took the ancestral saint source, and then fell into a coma. When I woke up, I was summoned by the ocean of cause and effect to the outside of Lake Klong." She spoke nervously, extremely worried. "At this moment, my heart is being watched by the Water Emperor, and I am afraid that I will be discovered in an instant." But then, she felt that the power to peer into her heart disappeared. On the ice jade throne, the Empress whispered, "The darkness is indeed terrifying. The shadow has enveloped Kaiwan continent. I can't even talk about the creatures that have touched the darkness." She had just found nothing. However, this made her even more convinced that besides the power of darkness, what else could do this? In Kaiwan continent, Shui Qingling witnessed the coming of darkness and did not die. She also awakened the Kunpeng bloodline, which is a very good seed. Immediately, her eyes fell on Tuguyuking again. She found that Tuguyuking's whole person seemed to be erratic, impossible to figure out, and even more mysterious than Shui Qingling. The black coffin, could this be the black firewood that Master Tiao mentioned? The coffin, itself is also wood. She whispered something, and suddenly waved her hand, and the black coffin on Tuguyuking's back floated in front of her. She did not touch the black coffin directly, but looked at it carefully. This coffin itself already contains frightening power. Is it in it? She felt, it must be. At this moment, she was extremely excited. The strategy she had planned for countless years was finally going to succeed. Now, all we have to do is get the Lamp of Origin. The Lamp of Origin was originally placed in a forbidden area by her, but due to the awakening of Kunpeng's ghost, she could no longer approach it. Now, the Kunpeng bloodline has also appeared. She smiled, looked at the many saints in the field, and said, "Today I will teach you the Kunpeng method." The one who can cultivate the strongest will be able to inherit my imperial lineage. She waved her hand, and at this moment, countless light spots penetrated the foreheads of everyone in the field. Those are all the Kunpeng techniques mastered by the Waterway Emperor Court. At this moment, all the saints, and even the elders and powerful men were excited. Even if they can practice the Kunpeng method on weekdays, they can only practice it partially. Now, the Water Emperor has given them all the Kunpeng techniques mastered by the Water Path Emperor Court. Moreover, those who have cultivated to the strongest level, still have a chance to inherit the Water Emperor's authority. Who can not be excited, who can not be nervous? You can practice here. The Water Emperor said with a smile, and then, she and the black coffin in front of her suddenly disappeared. And at this moment, Waterway Imperial Court, a secret island somewhere. This place is extremely far away from the central area of the Waterway Imperial Court. The surrounding secret island is shrouded in thick spiritual mist and is deserted. On weekdays, no one can get close. At this moment, on the secret island, a stunning beauty suddenly appeared. She carried a black coffin on her back and walked towards the depths of the secret island. Not long after, she saw a cave. That cave is the most mysterious forbidden area in the Waterway Imperial Court. The things she snatched from the ancestors back then were all hidden in the cave. However, she can't enter rashly now. Kunpeng's sorrow is still in the cave, and the formations it inspired have not yet subsided. You can't enter smoothly until you finish the foreplay. She smiled, with an intoxicating aura on her gorgeous face. She found a place where no one was around and sat down. You are mourning for Kunpeng. Now that Kunpeng's bloodline has been found, they will all practice Kunpeng's method in the Imperial Palace. It's time for you to walk out from here. She murmured expectantly. She gave the Kunpeng method to everyone to practice, not for any reason at all to select the heir to the imperial line. It is to allow Shui Qingling, the awakened Kunpeng bloodline, as well as other saints, and older geniuses to attract the Kunpeng ghosts here. After all, according to her speculation, the reason why the ghosts here woke up was because Kunpeng's bloodline appeared, giving Kunpeng's dead Shang the hope of resurrection. Now that Kunpeng's bloodline is in the imperial palace, the Kunpeng ghost here will definitely come. Tune the tiger away from the mountain. She can naturally enter the cave smoothly and light the lamp of origin. When the time comes, the lamp of origin will burn black flames and release the source of endless darkness, and the entire Waterway Imperial Court, and even Yuzhu, will be enveloped. All living things will be extinct, cultivators will perish, and the seeds adapted to darkness will also be screened out. By then, her parasitic method will be completely realized, and there will be enough seeds of darkness to allow her to survive the catastrophe of darkness. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Gui Xin. Chapter 1137. Deep Cave, Dark Corridor. The corridor is covered with various forbidden formations of waterways, and no one can cross even half a step. At the end of the corridor is a huge hall. The cave hall is 1,000 meters wide and filled with various ancient artifacts. A pile of stone bricks, as if they were removed from some stone buildings, full of ancient charm. Some broken farm tools, such as sickles, plowshares, etc., have lost their vitality and look ordinary. And the most mysterious thing is a stone slab. The stone slab is very old and carved with reliefs. The relief is very exquisite, and it depicts the picture of Kun and Peng. Kun seems to be swimming in the ocean, disturbing Biming at every turn, and Peng seems to be fluttering its wings for 9 days, carrying the sky on its back. At this moment, the relief statue seems to have been activated, exuding a mysterious ancient aura, as if it has formed the sun, moon, and stars, the flame of the bright universe and even the shadow of Kunpeng. In front of the relief, a young man is sitting cross-legged. He has a strong build. Although he is simply dressed like a farmer from the village, he has the energy of a real dragon swirling around him. His energy and blood sometimes turn into Kunpeng, sometimes evolve into a real dragon, mysterious and unpredictable. This man is clearly Long Xuanhuan. At this moment, he slowly opened his eyes, got up and walked towards the center of the cave hall. In the center of the cave hall, there was this stone platform. On the stone platform, there was a modeled ancient lamp. The stone platform was densely covered with array patterns. Just by looking at it, water ripples flickered, forming some kind of barrier. That barrier was set up by the Water Emperor himself. At that time, although she stored the lamp of origin and various things taken from the ancestors here, she was still worried and specially set up a stone platform to protect the lamp of origin. It was this stone platform where Long Xuanhuan was unable to get the lamp of origin. I don't know if other brothers lit up the lantern display. Long Xuanhuan murmured, he was a little anxious. If all the other lamps had been lit and his own was the only one left, it would ruin the plan of starting a prairie fire. When they left the forbidden ancient road in the grey mist sea, they already understood the plan of 10,000 ways end. Replacement. After living in the small courtyard for so long, they already have the origin of the white mist themselves, and it is the last spark that once shined from the fire of the white mist, lighting the lamp of origin and burning their own origin of the white mist. In this way, we can make the forbidden world become the pure land of life. I can also share some of the pressure for Master. But he didn't expect that he couldn't get this lamp. Water Emperor. He whispered, anger in his heart. No, I have to find a few people to beat him up and vent my anger. He spoke and immediately returned to the stone slab. This stone slab contains some residual power of Kunpeng. After being activated, the Water Emperor can no longer approach the cave hall. Moreover, he can use this power to sense the practitioners practicing Kunpeng's method in the Waterway Emperor's court. Then, use the power of the stone slab to enter the Taoist scenery or dreamland of those cultivators. Since arriving here, he has gone out to find someone to beat up and vent his anger almost every day. Fortunately, there are enough geniuses in the Water Path Imperial Court, and there are also many people who practice the Kunpeng method. He has killed hundreds of people. At this moment, Long Xuanhuan started to operate the Kunpeng method as usual, and was sensing the practitioners of the Kunpeng method. Suddenly, Long Xuanhuan raised his eyebrows, as if he had discovered something surprising. Now, Waterway Imperial Court, in the Imperial Palace. Those who enter the Imperial Palace are those who are most qualified to practice the Kunpeng technique in the Waterway Imperial Court. There are about 300 saints and saints in total, plus 100 or so elders, a total of more than 400 people, all practicing crazily. The main thing is that this is the Imperial Palace, which contains the sacred imperial energy. If you practice here, you will make rapid progress. Next to everyone, there is a shadow of Kunpeng blooming in different shapes. Only Shui Qingling and Dugu Yuking remained unmoved. Even though the Water Path Imperial Court has spent countless years, the Kunpeng method it mastered is so incomplete and fallacious. Shui Qingling murmured. She had already received guidance from Kunpeng, so now she understood it completely after comparing it. The Kunpeng method of the Water Path Emperor Court is too weak. Haha, Sister Qingling, why don't you practice? At this time, suddenly, the iceberg beauty, Saint Shui Hongxiao came over. Every step she took, it seemed that the wings of a Kunpeng were following her. Shui Jianghe and others are also paying attention to Shui Qingling. After all, she is the one who has awakened the Kunpeng bloodline. Logically speaking, she should have the strongest cultivation talent. Shui Qingling shook her head and said, "This Kunpeng method, I can't understand it." There are so many mistakes, practicing this way is not right at all. Can't read. After hearing this, Shui Hangxiao's beautiful eyes widened, as if she had heard some joke. I can't understand. Could it be that he has blood, but his understanding is extremely low? It's possible that she is just a pariah from the outside. Many people couldn't help but speak. But, at this moment, some kind of mist suddenly dispersed in the hot spring pool. Everyone who was practicing in the field suddenly fell to the ground one by one. This. Shui Qingling looked at Zhuge Yuqing doubtfully. Zhuge took a quick glance and said, "The breath of this hot spring makes people fall asleep. You said before that the Kunpeng ghost always appeared in dreams." Shui Qingling nodded. Zhuge Yuqing immediately understood and said with a smile, "It seems that the Water Emperor wants to lure the tiger away from the mountain, use these people as bait." He waved and said, "Let's also go and have a look in Dreamland." He fell asleep immediately. However, he took the initiative to fall asleep and could wake up from his dream at any time. Soon, everyone on the scene fell asleep. Then, they all appear in a dream. At this moment, under the guidance of the mysterious substance of the hot spring, everyone's dreams were unified. Collective dream. All those who practiced the Kunpeng method in the imperial palace were concentrated in their dreams, and they did not even feel the slightest difference. In the dream, they were still next to the hot spring, still practicing the Kunpeng method. The Kunpeng method is indeed a supreme method. An old man couldn't help but speak. His name was Shui Xiaoshuo, and he was the most accomplished among the older generation in practicing the Kunpeng method. "It's a pity, I am old and my blood is a little weak." As he said that, his eyes suddenly fell on Shui Qingling. "Haha, Miss Qingling, since you can't understand Kunpeng's method, how about I help you?" He walked towards Shui Qingling with evil intentions. Not only him, but at this moment, many other old guys stared at Shui Qingling with sinister expressions. Shui Qingling is the one who has awakened Kunpeng's bloodline. If she can get her blood, their Kunpeng method may be taken to a higher level. It would be a waste to keep such good precious blood on you. Shui Xiaoshuo suddenly spoke, and then suddenly grabbed Shui Qingling with a claw. But, that is this moment. Suddenly, from a certain direction, there was a violent fluctuation. It seems like a real dragon is roaring, like a Kunpeng is flying. Everyone subconsciously turned around and saw a young man appearing at the entrance of the imperial palace. He came with his hands behind his back, surrounded by the blood of the true dragon, and the shadow of Kunpeng hovered. Seeing him, everyone in the field suddenly changed their expressions. No. This, Kunpeng ghost. Don't Kunpeng ghosts only appear in dreams? How could? Could it be that we have all fallen asleep? What's going on? For a moment, everyone panicked. At the same time, in the Waterway Imperial Court, a man wearing a black shirt has appeared. The War Emperor fought silently, with a cold face and a fierce fighting spirit, and his eyes suddenly focused on the island in the center of the sky. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Goi Xin. Chapter 1138. Waterway Imperial Court, in the Imperial Palace. All the saints, elders, geniuses, etc. are all furious at this moment. This man. It was clearly the Kunpeng ghost that had spread throughout the Waterway Imperial Court. Anyone who practices the Kunpeng method will attract Kunpeng ghosts and ghosts into their dreams, and then they will be killed in their dreams. Now, the other party actually appears. You, how did you show up? No. I want to wake up, I don't want to die. Don't panic, we are all in the same dream. If we go together, we may not be able to kill this Kunpeng ghost. For a moment, everyone was a little panicked, but some senior figures also stood up and called on everyone to take action. Kill him. Shui Xiaoshuo and others roared. They all rushed towards Long Zixuan. Long Zixuan stood with his hands behind his back, extremely calm. Facing hundreds of masters practicing the Kunpeng method, he just raised his fist, and then punched out. Boom! The wave of his punch was filled with terrifying real dragon energy, as if the nine heavens Kunpeng exploded. Almost the entire imperial palace in the dream was destroyed. No. How can you be so strong? Kunpeng ghost, so scary. For a moment, everyone trembled. They worked together, but under Long Zixuan's punch, it was overwhelming and unable to stop it. The imperial palace in the dreamland was in ruins, with flesh and blood flying everywhere. Countless saints and virgins who had given birth were lying dead on the spot, which was extremely miserable. Almost completely destroyed. Still so reckless. At this time, a faint laughter came. Dugu Yuking opened his mouth and said, "Senior brother Long, long time no see." When Long Zixuan saw Dugu Yuking, excitement suddenly appeared on his face and he said, "Junior brother Yuking, why are you here? Is your lamp lit?" He was extremely confused. Dugu Yuking shook his head and said, "No. When I was lighting the lamp, Master stopped me. The lamp is now in Master's hands." Hearing this, Long Zixuan was stunned and said, "Master. In this case, the road that started a prairie fire, wouldn't it be impossible? To start a prairie fire with a single spark, they need to use their own white mist origin to light 12 lamps of origin. Even if one is missing, it won't work." Dugu Yuking nodded and said, "There is no way, Master, let me come to you. Go home together." He spoke softly. Go home together." Hearing these 4 words, Long Zixuan's eyes instantly felt an inexplicable warmth. "Master! Go home. The master still cares about him and is unwilling to let him wait for others to die. Does he still want to stand in front of everything alone? The Emperor of Darkness is coming." At this time, suddenly, a voice came from outside the dream. "It's Kunpeng." Kunpeng did not fall into a dream, but stayed in the real world outside. Emperor of Darkness. Long Zixuan was slightly surprised. Dugu Yuking frowned and said, "That guy is a war fanatic. It seems he wants to fight all over the world and develop the strongest fighting skills." When Long Zixuan heard this, he immediately raised his eyebrows and said, "The strongest battle path. By him. Let's go, let's go. It's been a long time since I had a good fight. I'll go out and beat him to death. Now." A black avenue headed directly towards the Water Emperor's palace. This black avenue crosses the sky and lies above many islands in the sky. Suddenly, it caused great fluctuations in the entire waterway imperial court. What's the situation? What a powerful imperial machine, and it has a dark aura. No, has darkness descended on our waterway imperial court? Is the catastrophe of darkness finally coming? In the waterway imperial court, countless cultivators exclaimed, and panic spread instantly. Countless sacred magic formations erupted with the power of water that soared into the sky, countless rays of light, and various visions appeared, heading towards the dark avenue to block it. All the protective powers of the waterway imperial court were activated. On the island in the sky in the center, the terrifying formation of the great emperor was exuding. It was placed by the water emperor himself. Thousands of waterfalls inexplicably fell from the sky, each of which was formed with the power of the great emperor. Extremely terrifying. However, on the Black Road, the war emperor silently waved his hand. Boom! All the protective formations and the glow in the sky disappeared. The island in the sky in the center, with thousands of waterfalls formed by the power of the emperor, has dried up and evaporated. They are both great emperors, but the power left by the water emperor was not worth mentioning before the war emperor. No. Darkness is coming. Stop, What do you want to do? We have no intention of fighting the darkness, don't take action against us. At this moment, many powerful men from the Waterway Imperial Court came forward, and they all spoke in fear. Pray for survival. However, the War Emperor just slapped him down. This palm covered the entire Waterway Imperial Court. Thousands of creatures in the Waterway Emperor's court felt a palm that was in the same realm as their own. The War Emperor is still following his battle path. Bang! An old and powerful man was directly turned into powder by a palm of the same realm as himself. How can you be so strong? A young expert was wiped out as soon as he touched that palm power. At this moment, the entire Waterway Imperial Court fell into a great collapse. Even though the Dark War Emperor never used his Emperor-level strength to crush them, most of the creatures in the Waterway Emperor's court faced attacks from the same realm as themselves, and they had no choice but to die. Without him, the War Emperor is too strong. He has fought all the way and is invincible in a sense at the same level. The King of Heaven in seclusion dies, the genius with excellent qualifications bleeds, and the ordinary creatures are directly destroyed. One palm, just one palm, has already made the entire Waterway Imperial Court despair. Where is the Water Emperor? Water Emperor, please save us. No. This is the Dark Emperor. Even if the Water Emperor comes, I'm afraid there will only be annihilation. We are finished. For a time, countless people were wailing. On the Black Avenue, the War Emperor did not even glance at the pure waterway below. He walked step by step to the Imperial Palace. He has sensed it. Kunpeng's breath. I will use your hands to achieve my supreme way of war. He flicked his fingers, and suddenly, the huge Imperial Palace in front of him was reduced to ashes. In the endless smoke and rubble, 4 people were seen standing calmly. Dugu Yuking, Long Zixuan, Kunpeng, and Shui Qingling following them. And at this moment, the waterway of the Emperor's court was turbulent, and all the creatures in the water were killed by the Dark War Emperor's palm, and corpses were floating all over the sea. And on a desert island, the Water Emperor just glanced at the Water Path Emperor court indifferently. Her pure land, her orthodoxy, her people, at this moment, she didn't care at all. Now, no matter what happens in the Imperial Court, it doesn't matter anymore. Kunpeng Ghost finally left here completely. She turned around and looked into the deep cave. She had already felt that Kunpeng's ghostly true body should have appeared in the outside world. In the past, Kunpeng ghosts only dreamed of other people and never really left. This time, they really had a chance. She carried the black coffin and walked into the cave step by step. Through the long corridor that she was extremely familiar with, she saw the wide cave hall. In the cave hall, the stone slab with the Kunpeng relief has slowly calmed down because of Long Zixuan's departure. In the center of the cave hall, on a stone platform, an ancient bronze lamp seems to have been waiting countless years. She smiled. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Gui Xian. Chapter 1139. On the island in the center of the sky, the Imperial Palace has collapsed. Long Zixuan and the others were confronting the Emperor of Darkness. Kunpeng, swordsman, and you. The War Emperor looked at Dugu Yuking, Long Zixuan, and others with a gloomy face and said, I understand, you two are the last incarnations of those traitors. Back then, you betrayed the Dark Dome, followed that man, and raised fire for him, leaving the Dark Dome. When I met Dugu Yuking before, the War Emperor was still undecided. Now, add Long Zixuan. He vaguely understood the origins of Dugu Yuking and Long Zixuan. He stared at Long Zixuan, a look of greed suddenly appeared in his eyes, and said, You are the opponent I am looking for, the seed of lawlessness. If I defeat you, I can also become the seed of lawlessness. He revealed some secrets. Before Long Zixuan became the ancestor of the people and walked out of the darkness with fire, he once belonged to the sky of darkness. Moreover, it was the seat of the impossible way. Impossible is one of the supreme avenues, and is regarded as the end of martial arts and warfare. At that point, with a single thought, all the methods and magical powers in the world will disappear, and with a punch, all rules can be wiped out. Wherever you go, everything is in disarray. This is impossible. And Emojan, even though he is the war emperor, has not become the seat of the lawless way, because the Dao marks of the lawless way have already been divided up. Unless the predecessors are defeated, the lawless way will be destroyed. Turn it on for others. Now, the appearance of Long Xuan gave him a chance. As long as Long Xuan is defeated, the hopeless path will appear for him. Do you dare to fight in the entire realm? He stared at Long Xuan, his blood boiling, as if he had glimpsed a bright future. As he spoke, he waved suddenly, and the surrounding area was suddenly enveloped by 7 battle flags. This battle flag was once used by the Emperor of Heaven in the Forbidden World. It is called the War Flag of Years. If you enter this battle flag, you can evolve to your full realm under the Emperor of Heaven. The War Emperor spoke. Emperor Xuanhuan once led the Xuanhuan Emperor court and many powerful men in the Forbidden World to attack the darkness. However, there was a being on the other side of the door who took action and killed everything. Many of the Emperor's belongings also fell under the dome of darkness, and these battle flags were obtained by him. Now, as the great Emperor, it is easy for him to kill Long Xuan, but killing Long Xuan is useless. Must be defeated. Defeated in the same realm. In this way, the helpless road once occupied by Long Xuan will be gained by him. Otherwise, even if he kills Long Xuan, it will be useless, because he has not replaced Long Xuan's invincible nature in the same realm. Long Xuan looked at the battle flags and said indifferently, "Why don't you dare?" After saying that, he stepped inside. The War Emperor also stood in the battle flag. At this moment, the 7-pole battle flag word, which surpassed the Emperor's energy and rules, as if it involved time and years. At this moment, Long Xuan felt as if he could evolve his future body. This battle flag feels familiar inexplicably, and the principles in it are somewhat similar to Miss Yungzi. Long Xuan couldn't help but whisper. In the small courtyard, Yungzi practiced all the ways, and the one that impressed him the most was the way of time. You can go back in time. Although the current principles of the war flag of time are more complicated than looking back in time and seem to be able to deduce the future, they are essentially the same as the time technique mastered by Yun 11. Perhaps, Emperor Xuanhuan had received help from Wan Dao ending in refining the year's war flag. He wasn't sure. As for the Dark War Emperor, after entering the battle flag, he could easily trace back to his old self. In fact, the backtracking forbidden technique mastered by the War Emperor was obtained from the War Flag of Time. It is some kind of incomplete time technique. At this moment, the War Emperor's chi slowly changed, and his side actually showed immortal chi. Even though those immortal energies appear in a dark form, they are still immortal. Do you know that the flowers of the forbidden path do not bloom out of thin air? The ancient immortal path was once the starting point of all practice. The Dark War Emperor sneered and said, "The immortal way is incomplete, the holy way is missing, and the divine way has collapsed into chaos. Your forbidden ways are nothing but castles in the air and empty flowers. Now that I have evolved into the immortal way, what can you do to fight with me? Even if you were once a seed of lawlessness, now that you lack the foundation of the immortal, holy, divine, and chaotic ways, you can only fail." His eyes were extremely determined, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The forbidden world, the ancient immortal way, holy way, divine way, and chaotic way have been lost long ago. However, under the dome of darkness, those ancient inheritances are still continuing, and are regarded as fundamental. In fact, before the universe entered the darkest age, the immortal way, the sacred way, the divine way, and the way of chaos all bloomed with brilliant civilizations. Although everything returned to the darkest age, and those civilizations and eras were annihilated many years ago, but Dharma, which originated from the immortal civilization, has always been regarded as the origin of spiritual practice. Before entering the forbidden path, one must cultivate the immortal, holy, divine, and chaotic bodies. Otherwise, even if one becomes an emperor on the forbidden path, it will be nothing more than a castle in the air and not worth mentioning. This is why he looks down on the entire forbidden world. Because in the taboo world, these ancient traditions have long been abandoned, and even the weakest people start practicing directly from taking the taboo, but they don't know that immortals, saints, gods, and chaos are the source and can give birth to the real forbidden flower. When Xuanhuan heard this, he couldn't help but think about it. Under the dome of darkness, it is actually necessary to cultivate immortals, saints, gods, and chaos. At this moment, he seemed to understand why the master asked them to start practicing from the immortal path. Because, only in this way, can we have the capital to fight against darkness. Just like the world of taboos, practice begins directly with taboos, but it is like walking on a broken road. It seems to have a high starting point, but in fact it has completely fallen. Is it the body of an immortal? Xuanhuan raised his eyes, and then, his realm suddenly changed, going back to the immortal realm. At this moment, he was filled with majestic immortal energy, and all kinds of immortal rules were intertwined and perfect. What? Immortal Deo, you actually practiced immortal Deo. Seeing this, the Dark War Emperor was horrified. No. The immortal Deo's orthodoxy has been completely destroyed. It cannot be traced back in time and space, nor can it be traced between cause and effect. How could you possibly cultivate an immortal Deo body? There was actually a hint of fear in the Dark War Emperor's eyes. The immortal way is too ancient and primitive. According to the records of the Dark Dome, it is the first ray of light in the universe. But in the end, it was extinguished in the original law of the universe, and all cause and effect perished. Only under the Dark Dome, there was some preserved inheritance. Everything about the immortal way, no matter how dark the sky is considered taboo and no one can explore it. But, how did Xuanhuan cultivate an immortal body? Even though Xuanhuan was once a trader under the dome of darkness and knew some immortal methods, it was impossible for him to cultivate such a perfect and harmonious immortal body. His immortal body is like the legendary immortal body that can only appear with a complete immortal inheritance. Could it be that behind him, there was actually an old immortal from the immortal era? He was a little dumbfounded, because the immortal Deo era was too long ago, and it had already emerged countless years before the formation of the Dark Dome. Can such a thing exist in this world? It's impossible. Even the other body of the one on the Dark Throne shouldn't have such an immortal inheritance. The Dark War Emperor spoke, then shouted loudly and charged towards Xuanhuan. He showed countless dark magic. However, Xuanhuan just raised his fist and punched out. Boom! This is a punch belonging to the immortal way, the immortal light is bright, and the dragon's shadow roars. The Dark War Emperor's immortal body suddenly collapsed, unable to bear it at all. So weak. Xuanhuan couldn't help but frown. The opponent's immortal body had many flaws, and it really didn't look like he had fully practiced the immortal system. But then, another body emerged. The Dark War Emperor's holy body. I suggest starting directly with the Forbidden Way. Xuanhuan whispered. Otherwise, it would be really boring. Then, as soon as the Dark War Emperor's divine body appeared, it was directly destroyed. Soon the Shinto body and the chaotic body were also destroyed. How is it possible? The immortal way, the holy way, the divine way, the way of chaos, these inheritances that have been annihilated over time and the laws of the universe, how come you know them all? When the forbidden form of the Dark War Emperor emerged, he looked at Long Xuanhuan in disbelief as if he had seen a ghost, and his mentality was a bit explosive. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1140. In the blink of an eye, Long Xuanhuan had defeated several bodies of the Dark War Emperor. The immortal way, the holy way, the divine way, the way of chaos. Long Xuanhuan has practiced all of these four realms from beginning to end, and has reached perfection in all of them. But the Dark War Emperor cultivated only an incomplete inheritance, which was far less complete than what Long Xuanhuan possessed. Therefore, there was no suspense about the quick defeat. Where did you learn this from? The Dark War Emperor spoke in disbelief. The immortal civilization, the holy civilization, the Shinto civilization, the Chaos civilization, these civilizations have long been destroyed by the tide of the universe, and the Dark Dome can only unearth half of them for future generations to refer to. Who can master them all? Unless someone has lived from the oldest immortal civilization to this day. But, is this possible? For the universe itself, tens of trillions of years are just a blink of an eye. The ebb and flow of the universe are the rise and fall of civilizations, the origin and end of eras. Who can overcome the hardships of the years, and who can withstand the ebb and flow of the tide? Tribulation. Nobody. Even the one who once conquered the Dark Dome couldn't do it. He had a feeling that people like Long Xuanhuan might have a big secret. A secret beyond his knowledge. Long Xuanhuan said calmly. Want to know? Wait until I beat you to death, I'll tell you. Hearing this, the Dark War Emperor said angrily in a deep voice. So what if you master some ancient inheritance? I am the War Emperor, the Forbidden Way, invincible at the same level. I once stood on many steps and was invincible at the same level. I don't believe that you can use the opportunity to kill my immortal, holy, divine, and chaotic bodies, and you can defeat me in every taboo realm. He traced back his waterproof body. He has already been defeated in the Najin realm and the 11th soil realm, so, now he starts the battle with Long Xuanhuan from the waterproof realm. Building water is the real watershed for my rise. In the waterproofing realm, I once gained the supreme magical power of war, sea-trodden war hooves. Mo Zhan's figure suddenly transformed into a terrifying huge black cow. This huge black bull is like a giant elephant, with two horns like long knives. The most amazing thing is the four big hooves, which are strong, powerful, and majestic. This is the true nature of silent war. At this moment, he used his strongest magical power when he was in the water-repelling realm, and stepped on the sea with war hooves. Four huge hooves suddenly stepped towards Long Xuanhuan. Each step was like a heavy drum beat, as if it could turn the river upside down and set off a tsunami. It turned out to be a bull, no wonder he was so belligerent. Long Xuanhuan was indifferent. At this moment, he was evolving retrogradely and evolving himself into the future. The waterproof body of the future. Wherever the hooves of war come, die. The Dark War Emperor's huge hoof fell. Long Xuanhuan caught one of the giant bull's hoofs, and then, as if he burst out with the power of a real dragon, he actually overturned the entire huge black bull. Long Xuanhuan directly pressed on the huge black bull, and the real dragon's energy wrapped around his hands, like a dragon's energy knife, constantly slashing at the forehooves of the bull. He used his palm knife to chop off the forehooves of the giant black bull alive. Then, he kicked hard and crushed the giant black bull to pieces. The waterproof body is destroyed. The 7 war flags were buzzing, and for a while, the rest of the Dark War Emperor did not appear in the surrounding space. 4 hooves. Long Xuanhuan suddenly turned his head, looked at Zhuge outside, and said, "Junior brother, can I borrow the Suzaku?" Outside the battle flag, Zhuge said, As for Shui Qingling, her expression was complicated at this moment. This Long Zixuan was indeed a disciple of Senior Li. His behavior is exactly the same as that of Dugu Yuking. Let's go in and taste the cow's hooves. Dugu Yuking spoke directly. Immediately, he, Kunpeng, and Shui Qingling entered the area blocked by the 7-pole battle flag. Suzaku emerged from his Taoist landscape, breathing fire directly. Suzaku already possesses the origin of the white mist. As long as he does not enter the void that can wipe out all vitality, he can survive on the periphery of the Taoist scenery. At this moment, the Suzaku flame formed by the source of the white mist burned on the black hooves, immediately burning the black mist contained in the black hooves into grey mist, and then disappeared. The cow's hooves were refined into clean ingredients, and then Dugu Yuking took various seasonings from the Taoist scenery and sprinkled them one by one. Braised beef trotters gradually take shape. One is just right for each person, don't steal it from anyone. Dugu Yuking took action directly, grabbed the cow's hoof, and then started to chew it, and even handed one to Shui Qingling. Shui Qingling felt a little uneasy. This was dark food. However, when she took it and smelled it, it was not dark food, but very fragrant. Spicy braised beef trotters. She couldn't help it anymore and started eating immediately. Not bad, not bad. I haven't eaten beef for a long time, I've been eating fish every day during this period. I'm tired of it. Long Zixuan grabbed the cow's hoof, ate it with big mouthfuls, and praised it endlessly. It was so happy. And Kunpeng, who had just picked up the cow's hoof, suddenly heard Long Zixuan's words and was stunned for a moment. He glanced at Long Zixuan, his eyes, very complicated. Long Zixuan suddenly realized something and felt panicked, but his face was as steady as an old dog's and he said, I was just kidding, all I ate were water snakes and the like, no fish. And, you're not a fish. Kunpeng. And just as a few people were feasting, a figure slowly reappeared from the void. He actually defeated my water-bearing body. The Dark War Emperor reappeared, and this time, he was looking back to his old body in the Shenmue realm. So what if I fail in the waterproofing realm? I will definitely defeat you in other realms. In the wood-growing realm, I have evolved the 10,000 Tribulations War Tendons, and we will fight again. Mo Zhan roared angrily and looked towards Long Zixuan, but he was stunned instantly. He saw Long Zixuan, Dugu Yuking, Kunpeng, etc. He's actually chewing a cow's hoof. That's my own sea-trooping hooves? You actually ate the hoof of my water-resisting body. Mo Zhan was extremely angry, and his words were trembling with anger. He is a great emperor of his generation and is famous for his war. In every realm, he has cultivated the most powerful magical power of war, but now, the foundation of my invincibility in the realm of waterproofing, the hooves of walking on the sea, was actually eaten by others. Or braised. You're riding a horse, you've insulted me too much, you've insulted me too much. At this moment, the Dark War Emperor completely exploded. The veins on his face popped out and his eyes were red. I will kill you. Roaring silently, the huge dark bull reappeared. The thick beef sinews all over the body were like horned dragons, erupting with extremely tyrannical power and destroying the surrounding space. The entire bull was like an unparalleled Mount Tai, roaring towards the dragon. Zixuan smashed it down. Long Zixuan wiped his mouth, threw the cow bones aside, raised his eyes and said, Beef tendon? Junior brother Yuking, think about it quickly, how to make this. Then, he directly faced the dark bull, and the true dragon blood energy exploded, deducing the future body of the Shenmue realm. Behind him, Dugu Yuking also frowned a little and said, No. The cooking method of beef tendon is rather complicated, I'm not very good at it. Shui Qingling said weakly. Spicy braised beef tendon, it's delicious. Do you want to try it? Good night. This book has been logged into Kidian. Readers who don't like to see advertisements can download Chidion.com and search Chidion.com to find this book and read it. Good night. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1141. Shenmue Realm. Water is the origin of all things. When a clear spring is discovered in the soil of life and nourishes the earth, the symbol of life, the tree of life, can sprout from the earth. The realm of living wood means that the emptiness of Taojing, which originally wiped out everything, can finally bear the weight of life and initially turns into the land of life. In this realm, the cultivator's life will be nourished and undergo various wonderful changes, such as the qi and blood becoming stronger, the internal organs becoming immortal, etc. The Emperor of Darkness, in this realm, evolved the 1,000 Tribulation War Tendons. 10,000 Tribulations battle muscles can explosively increase his combat power. Even if he endures 10,000 tribulations, he will not die. Instead, he will become more courageous as he fights. At this moment, every tendon on the Dark Bull's body was like a thick primitive vine, and like a horned dragon, it erupted into a powerful shock wave, making the space explode. The speed and strength of the Dark Bull have been greatly improved. It comes and goes like the wind, as if it can break through everything. Moo. The bull let out a loud roar that shattered the space, and the tendons of the bull burst out with terrifying power, like a mountain bearing down on top, as it arrived in front of Long Xuanhuan. Long Xuanhuan moved his hands forward, and a shield of source power burst out from his hands. Boom! Long Xuanhuan was knocked back 1,000 steps. You can only lose. The Emperor of Darkness smiled angrily, his hooves tapping the ground, ready to attack again. But Long Xuanhuan whispered. Something interesting. It seems that such beef tendon must be very chewy. After the words fell, behind him, the Daojing land was released. In the illusory Daojing land, the earth was boundless, rivers were surging, and a kind of source of life was formed between heaven and earth rising everywhere. Boundless, boundless. The Emperor of Darkness spoke in surprise at this moment. Long Xuanhuan's realm of breath soil has also reached the state of infinity just like Tuguyuking. The waterproofing realm evolved into a boundless ocean. Boundless and limitless, whoever realizes any of them will be regarded as the supreme seed. As a result, Long Xuanhuan actually achieved two. No wonder it was once chosen as the seed of the lawless way. In the Shenmue realm, you should be defeated. The Dark War Emperor roared, and then rushed towards Long Xuanhuan again. The sound of galloping hooves is like a raging drum beat, and the beef tendons are like dragons, erupting into a breath that shakes the sky. But at this moment, Long Xuanhuan suddenly closed his eyes. A plant appeared in his mind. That's a lotus flower. Martial arts Tianxinlian. One of the 10 spirits. As he thought about it, in his Taoist landscape, the vast and changing life energy between heaven and earth suddenly condensed, merged, and solidified, and turned into a lotus. The lotus flower grows on the endless ocean and evolves the endless true meaning of martial arts. All the methods and ways of martial arts seem to be contained in it. This lotus, could it be the legendary one from the immortal era? At this moment, the Dark War Emperor actually seemed a little frightened. Kunpeng is the strongest in the era of Shinto civilization, and Lotus is the strongest in the era of immortal civilization. Is this the reason why you have cultivated both immortal Dao and Shinto to perfection? The Dark War Emperor murmured, and at this moment, he had some doubts. Kunpeng, Xianlian, these things only exist in extremely sporadic records. How could they appear in this forbidden world at the same time? Could it be that someone collected these once ancient creatures and appeared together in this life? This is terrible. Who can do it? Countless thoughts flashed through his mind, but he still growled. The remnants of the immortal way and the remnants of the divine way are just the past. This life will be the darkest place forever. The black source of power erupted from the tendons, like a world, suppressing it. And Long Xuanhuan raised his head and opened his eyes, and a lotus flower bloomed instantly. That is the lotus of life. The powerful giant bull, carrying the power of Mount Tai and the North Sea, stepped on the seemingly delicate lotus. However, a shocking scene happened. The giant bull, which could crush a whole world and even tremble the space, was actually blown away. Although the lotus flower is soft, it seems to contain supreme power. Moo, impossible. The giant bull wanted to turn over, black mist filled the air, and power was radiating from it, but Long Xuanhuan waved his hand, and the lotus flower had already swept away. Suddenly, the giant bull seemed to be completely suppressed. Even though it rolled and roared, it could not move at all. A lotus flower suppresses the war emperor's wooden body. Long Xuanhuan, on the other hand, walked over. He held down the bull's head and used his hand as a knife, saying, "Stretching the beef tendon alive, it's so powerful." He cut open the flesh of the giant cow alive, and the thick tendon peeled out. He grabbed one end of the tendon and tore it out. This scene looked very cruel. The giant bull was so painful that its whole body convulsed. This was the result of being skinned and cramped. "Just wait for me." The giant cow cried out in misery, bit the cow's tongue and committed suicide. Long Xuanhuan had already pulled out a few thick beef tendons, turned around, looked at Zhuge, and said, "How's it going? Have you thought of a way to do it?" Zhuge nodded and said, "I forgot to bring the pot. Use the earthen pot with kunpeng first, put it in, let it stew for a while, and then it's ready." Immediately, the fresh beef tendon was refined with the fire of Suzaku to remove the source of the black mist, and was thrown into the earthen jar, which was already filled with various marinades, chili peppers, etc. Suzaku was spitting fire on one side to heat it. Soon, the pot was boiling, and the beef tendons were cooked until the aroma came out. Spicy braised beef tendon, looks really good. Zhuge had already rolled up her sleeves and was ready to eat. We have to wait a little longer. The beef tendons must be stewed until they are delicious. Shui Qingling is the Tao. After hearing this, several people continued to wait. "If I don't kill you, I won't be supreme in this life." At this moment, the war emperor's voice came again. The black bull appeared, breathing fire from his nostrils. What appeared this time was the divine fire body of silent war. After the realm of wood, fire is made from wood. Fire is also a place of nothingness in Taoist scenery, and it evolves into a necessity for the land of life, because only fire can dispel the coldness and darkness of the land of life and bring warmth and light. At this moment, a surging flame was burning in the heart of the giant black bull. Fire comes from the heart. Ah! Moo moo moo. When he saw that his beef tendons had been boiled, Mo Zhan became sad and angry again, and his mentality exploded. That was a symbol of his invincibility in the realm of living wood. Now it's made delicious, and it also smells weird. It smells spicy, damn. I am going to kill you. The giant bull rushes towards Long Xuanhuan. The beef tendons can be marinated again. Now you can think about how to eat the beef heart. Long Xuanhuan charges forward. And at this moment, a deserted and mysterious island. In a deep cave, the water emperor finally opened the seal of Shitai. She picked up the ancient bronze lamp with her slender hands. The moment she took it, the heavy coldness made her feel goosebumps all over her body, but in her eyes, there was an unprecedented heat and covetousness. The lamp of origin, a divine object that can give birth to black mist. I will sacrifice the firewood of darkness for you. I only ask you to release the black mist and spread it all over Yuzhu. I will live in the darkness and spend time with the darkness. She was so excited that she opened the dark coffin.